Hello everybody, welcome to another post-knowledge video. And yes, we're continuing history to the early modern history. So if you haven't watched these videos, they are getting some views, so please check out them above at the top right hand of the screen. Okay. At the end of last video, Queen Mary the First, or Miss Bloody Mary, it's time for you to choose who you want to be the next English ruler. Because you're on your deathbed, obviously, dying of cancer. So, you seem to only have one option to make the next ruler. Queen Elizabeth I, or your sister, half-sister, Elizabeth, who is now 23 years old? No, 21, 20 or something years old. Who is 25 years old. As if I have any other choice, dies. So, Queen Elizabeth I became queen after Mary, Bloody Mary. And it seems to be a phenomenon because King Edward VIII had 3 children. Edward, Mary, Elizabeth, who all became ruler of England. But if you want to say how successful Edward VI or Bloody Mary was, I'd say pretty unsuccessful. Edward reigned for 6 years and died of tuberculosis. Mary reigned for 5 years and died of cancer. Not to even say Lady Jane Grey, who reigned for 9 days and got executed by Mary. So, Queen Elizabeth I is arguably the 6th Tudor ruler, but on many history books and many historians agree that she's the 5th. Why? Because they don't count Lady Jane Grey as a Tudor ruler, which I can't agree with because she only reigned for 9 days. Well, sorry, Lady Jane, if you reigned for like a year or something, maybe you would have actually been counted as a Tudor ruler. So how did Elizabeth rule? And as I obviously said at the end of the last video, she did it pretty well. So what did she do? Now is the review for the top secret of being the best ruler, how to be a very good ruler. It is called the middle way. What is the middle way? So it's probably taking 50% of 2 extremes. For example, if it's the end of term and your teacher wants to award you by either watching YouTube videos or giving you tuck or sweets, and 50% of the class says, you know what, we want to watch 4 YouTube videos and get 0 tuck. And the second part of the class says, you know what, we don't want to watch YouTube videos, they're so boring, we want to watch 0 YouTube videos and get 4 pieces of tuck each. And Sir's like, you know what, we'll watch 2 YouTube videos and we'll get 2 pieces of tuck each. And so sometimes the middle way can actually benefit people. It's probably quite good, but sometimes you can't always go for the middle way. For example, if probably some government officials wanted to say how much tax it would raise on probably private schools, attending private schools, the VAT, which was 20% by the Labour Party. I can't say much about it, but never mind. For example, if half of the party says, you know what, we won't raise the tax, we'll just raise it by 5% or something, and another part of the party says, no, we will have you raise it by 105%. 2 times plus 5%. And the judge slams the hammer and says, alright, tax raised by 55%. And that's bad. So sometimes the middle way actually doesn't work out, but in most cases it's good. A more reliable way of choosing the right decision would be John Stuart Mill's greatest happening for the greatest number, but I don't want to focus on philosophy here, it's history. So we call this Elizabeth's middle way. So what did she do? Obviously in religion, to stabilize Protestants and Catholics who have been fighting for years since the Protestant Revolution and Martin Luther. So firstly, Elizabeth made herself governor, not head of the church. Look at this subtle difference. Because the Pope used to be the head of the church. Now, because of Henry VIII, he was like, goodbye, Pope, goodbye, but I'm the head of the church. But Elizabeth, and after a couple of rulers, they were all head of the church, Edward and Mary, and Elizabeth was like, I'm the governor, and the Pope is back, which is a good thing because that pleases Catholics, but she still has some power in the church. So, and Catholics actually could think of the Pope as head of the church, and Elizabeth as an assistant. And also bishops were kept to please the Catholics, but the services were always in English to please the Protestants. So the Catholic priest would be like, Our Father in heaven, without going that fancy version of Latin, Notre Pastor Quiller in Calais. Never mind. So priests were allowed to marry to please the Protestants, and there was a better prayer book than the Edward VI prayer book, which was so hated by Catholics. And also the Catholic service was changed to please Protestants, but Catholics could give some money to avoid the services, so they won't be fined. I mean, they will be fined, but they won't be thrown in jail because they avoided the services. So obviously, you would guess people's reaction to this. For example, if you are you are Protestant, you might be like, wait a second. The Pope is kind of like a figurehead. Priests are allowed to marry, which is good. The services are in English, which is very good. And the Catholic services changed. Let's go. Although some Catholics can't give money to avoid stuff, I don't care. A better prayer book? Well, I didn't like Edward VI's prayer book at all. And bishops were kept? Well, figureheads. I don't care. This is a great life. Enjoying it. Thanks, Elizabeth I. Long live the Queen. And if you are a Catholic, you might think, the Pope is back. Yes. And also, bishops are still there, which is good. Services in English? Well, I didn't like Latin. Maybe I would understand more in English. Priests allowed to marry? Doesn't bother me. I'm not that strong, not a strong Catholic. A better prayer book. Goodbye, Edward VI's prayer book. The Catholic service changed. Okay with that, but it's still better than Edward VI. And I still can give money to avoid the services. Maybe I'll consider doing that, but you know what? These services will not be that bad. So that is exactly what Elizabeth wanted, to please both Catholics and Protestants. But you know what? Nothing ever pleases everybody, and obviously there were people who hated Elizabeth I's ways. Extremists, strict Catholics, and strict Protestants. Strict Catholics were like, no, Protestants are doing the way of hell. We must get rid of them. Why is Elizabeth I allowing them? We can't do that. And strict Protestants or Puritans will be like, but Catholics, we must get rid of them. Why is Queen Elizabeth I still tolerating them? I mean, this country should be Protestant 100% now and for all. But the thing is, that didn't happen. And if a country was completely Puritan or highly Protestant, maybe you do not please some of the Protestant population as well. And the Pope himself, what was this guy here, right here, big bearded man, not to be rude, but that guy literally excommunicated, which means forbid him or her to go to church so that their sins could not be forgiven. Elizabeth I to go to literally excommunicate her. The thing is, Mr. Pope, if Elizabeth did not reign, you would never come back. So, you are actually harming the person who saved you. What is this? He even called Elizabeth I a daughter of a sorceress. And the sorceress, he meant Anne Boleyn. So, Elizabeth was quite angry. She was like, you know what? I've been trying to please Catholics from now on. And they've been so bad to me. I'm not good at that. I'll be a bit more harsh with them. So she started trying Catholic priests. Increasingly, you wanted that you had to pay in order to avoid services. And Catholics were like, oh my. let's wait for her to, when she's not queen, I mean. Well, maybe it'll be better. Well, womp womp Catholics. Queen Elizabeth I reigned for 44 years, meaning there was no Catholic comeback, and England is still a Protestant nation today. So, well, Elizabeth did pretty much good to religion. Well, Protestants happy, Catholics happy, although this country is still Protestant. Doesn't please extremists, well, who cares about that? So, how was Elizabeth so good at reigning? And first to say that, even though she was in the royal family, she was not that comfortable when she was young. She was actually quite awkward. Her mother was executed and wrongly accused of adultery, and she seemed that she would never be queen after Edward VI was born and Mary Queen of Scots because she was 13 years older than her. But they all became queen. I mean, ruler of England. So how did she become so successful? So firstly, she was clever. She was good at studying, and Henry VIII, his father, and her tutors liked her very much. Tutors said she has a high aptitude for learning, enjoys things very much. She speaks fluent English, French, Italian, Greek, and Latin. Very smart. Wow, speaks fluent English, French, Italian, Greek, Latin. Oh, I can't do that. So Elizabeth was firstly very clever, and people enjoyed her very much. Second, she was lonely, because people wouldn't voice their real opinions. King Henry VIII has too many wives. He sucks. Or the taxes are raised. That sucks. Or the Pope is gone. That sucks. But the thing is, Queen Elizabeth couldn't really communicate with them. They might just flatter her or give her compliments, which wasn't helpful. But if she talked with them about music or sports, or maybe Greek or Latin, or recent developments in technology, they might be truthful. So that's why she rode a horse, was very good at classics, was very good at music too, and yeah, success. And finally, she was quite bored because at that time there were no internet, there was no YouTube, there were no games. Well, there were games, but not electronic games, and not that fun. And there was actually not much to do in the places they stayed in when Henry and Edward and Mary were queen. So why not study? And it was actually very fashionable for young women to be highly educated at the time. So, well, so that's how Elizabeth became so successful. And maybe it doesn't suck that much to study hard in school. Also, it is important to note that Queen Elizabeth I was actually suspected of plotting against Edward and Mary because they both died for reigning only about 5 to 6 years. But there was no proof, and not to be rude, but she was actually kept out of the way. So the thing is, what? Well, how can people say that? So she was not thought to have killed anybody in that way. But when she was being suspected, somebody else tried to kill her. Yep, look at the top right. Innocent looking woman in a white gown. Pretty. Not pretty ugly, but, well, Mary, Queen of Scots. So when I see the name Mary, don't just wait, that's Bloody Mary, she just died. But the thing is, you have to accept the fact that there are multiple people called Mary. Like this Marie Antoinette, who was in the French Revolution, this Bloody Mary, and this Mary Queen of Scots. They're not the same person. Marie Antoinette was from France, Bloody Mary is from England, and Mary Queen of Scots obviously is from Scotland. So we can't mix people together, okay? So a fun fact about Mary Queen of Scots. So remember when Henry VIII had a difficult time having a son. She had a difficult time keeping her husbands. So she had 3 husbands actually. Firstly, the King of France. who died in a writing accident. And then she also married an English lord, who got strangled and blown up. What? And she married the person who was suspected of killing the English lord. What? Why would she do that? So the Scots rebelled because some Scots rebelled because of Mary's engagement with wife number 3, and she was forced up to give up the throne for James the First. Well, Bouchard told me not to get James and James mixed up. No, this is actually the same James. The first Stuart king after Queen Elizabeth I. English ruler after Queen Elizabeth I. Yes, this is the same person. Who was he? We'll talk about that in one of our next videos. So do subscribe, and yes, well, do subscribe, and so yeah, you can keep up with us, our latest content. Let me continue. So Mary Queen of Scots, she was like, oh no, the Scots wants to kill me. What about going to England? So she went to England and hoping that Queen Elizabeth would take pity on her. Obviously, she's going to know. What? I thought she was a good ruler. Okay, just to make things straight, Queen Elizabeth did firstly welcome Mary in the country, but the thing is, Mary was a Catholic and didn't hide the fact that she thought, as some Catholics did, that she would be better suited as queen than Queen Elizabeth, and she was like, I should be queen. So, but the thing is, even according to modern values, that isn't illegal. You can believe in any religion, pagan, Taoism, or even believe in terrorism. But the thing is, as long as you don't do anything, you can believe in anything you want. But she did do something. So Elizabeth, to stop her from doing something, just kept her or imprisoned her in various castles and houses for the next 19 years, where she lived in relative luxury, and they never met. So, in the end, Mary, Queen of Scots, lost the will to rebel against Elizabeth, and they lived happily after, except no! Mary still tried to rebel. So, there was once upon a time, there was this guy called Anthony Barrington, who wanted to kill Elizabeth and make Mary the queen. And remember how Mary wanted to kill Elizabeth and make herself the queen. So Anthony was like, hey Mary, do you want to kill Elizabeth and make you the queen? Mary? Unfortunately, he could not contact Mary, so what she did was written some letters in code and sent them to Mary, hiding them in wine barrels delivered by Mary's servants. That's quite smart. Finally, I can contact Mary, Queen of Scots now. Hi Mary, what do you think about my plan? I agree with it, and you know what? Let us start this plan. How are you going to blow the queen up? You know what? I'm just going to beep. So they did communicate with each other for a while, and it looked as if their plan was succeeding. But no, they didn't, because Mary's servants did not work for Mary. They worked for Queen Elizabeth herself, or Queen Elizabeth's chief spy, Sir Francis Walsingham, who brought the letters to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was like, you can't do that. Wait, I just saved you. And you betrayed me. You're this like that Pope guy who's under you in this PowerPoint. Okay, just never mind. I was just joking. So, well, Elizabeth was quite horrified that Mary was trying to kill her, but she was like, bah, don't just execute her now. But what she did was quite clever, actually, if you go and think about it. So there was her secretary gave her some papers to sign, and the secretary slipped in a paper which contained Mary's death warrant, and Queen Elizabeth was like, signed. What's this? Never mind. Signed. So she signed it, pretending Meghan in an accident, and she was like, wait, what did I sign? Your Majesty, you signed Mary Queen of Scots death warrant, which is... Oh no, I must stop it. I've just changed my mind. What did I just sign? Oh no, I didn't see the paper. Sorry. The death warrant was scheduled her execution for yesterday. So miraculously, Queen Elizabeth, well, missed... What is this? Sorry. So she miraculously missed the date that Mary was being executed. And many people might think, oh, that's a mistake. She just changed her mind. But wait, what if it was a clever plan? Like in a video before, Edward VI killed his uncle for accidentally strangling Edward VI's favorite pet. Wait, that's tyrannical. That's cruel. That's ruthless. Wait, but his uncle was trying to kill him. So this might have been the same thing, according to that flashback I said in the muffled tone. Queen Elizabeth... Anyway, in the end, Queen Elizabeth killed Mary, Queen of Scots, or maybe made her die. Mary, Queen of Scots, was killed in February 1587. Well, Queen Elizabeth, firstly, you've brought relative peace between the Protestants and the Catholics. You've ignored the Pope. You've gotten rid of your annoying cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots, who tried to kill you. Well, you're doing pretty well now. So you're going to spend the rest of your reign for 44 years in relative peace, enjoying plays from William Shakespeare, and being admired by British people. But of course, history likes to play plot twists and jokes, and it doesn't want to miss this chance by testing Elizabeth's ability. So what about a war with Spain? So, yes, this is the end of the video. Obviously, I mentioned that there's a war with Spain coming up, and it'll be in the next battles video, after a sequel, after the first 3 battles we did. Wars of the Roses, Battle of Stamford Bridge, and the Battle of Hastings. So it's coming up any moment now. So I would recommend you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, open the bell, and well, check up on the latest update. Anyways, I hope you did enjoy the video. Please subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time.